All willing springs from need, and thus from lack, and thus from suffering. Fulfillment brings this to an end, but for every wish that is fulfilled, at least 10 are left denied. Moreover, desire lasts a long time, and demands go on forever. Fulfillment is brief and sparsely meted out, but even final satisfaction itself is only illusory. The fulfilled wish quickly gives way to a new one. The former is known to be a mistake. The later is not yet known to be one. No achieved object of willing gives lasting, unwavering satisfaction. Rather, it is only ever like the alms thrown to a beggar that spares his life today, so that his agony can be prolonged until tomorrow. Thus, as long as our consciousness is filled by our will, as long as we are given over to the pressure of desires with their constant hopes and fears, as long as we are the subject of willing, we will never have lasting happiness or peace. Whether we hunt or we flee, whether we fear harm or chase pleasure, it is fundamentally all the same. Concern for the constant demands of the will, whatever form they take, continuously fills consciousness and keeps it in motion. But without peace, there can be no true well-being. So the subject of willing remains on the revolving wheel of Exion. But when some occasion from the outside, or a disposition from within suddenly lifts us out of the endless stream of willing, tearing cognition from its slavery to the will, our attention is no longer directed to the motives of willing, but instead grasps things freed from their relation to the will, and hence considers them without interests, without subjectivity, purely objectively. We are given over to the things entirely, to the extent that they are mere representations, not to the extent that they are motives. Then suddenly the peace that we always sought on the first path of willing, but that always eluded us, comes of its own accord, and all is well with us. It is the painless state that Epicurus prized as the highest good, and the state of the gods. For that moment we are freed from the terrible pressure of the will. We celebrate the Sabbath of the penal servitude of willing. The wheel of Exion stands still. Whenever nature suddenly rises to meet our gaze, it almost always succeeds, if only for a few moments, in snatching us away from subjectivity, from our slavery to the will, and transporting us into the state of pure cognition. For at the moment when, torn free from willing, we surrender ourselves to pure, will-less cognition, we enter into another world, as it were, where everything that moves our will and agitates us so powerfully no longer exists. That liberation of cognition lifts us out of all this as profoundly and as completely as sleep and dreaming do. Happiness and unhappiness disappear. We are no longer the individual. This is forgotten. We are only the pure subject of cognition. We continue to exist only as the one eye of the world that gazes out from all cognizing creatures. Although it can only become completely freed from service to the will in human beings when all individual differences have vanished. And indeed so completely that it is then a matter of indifference whether the seeing eye belongs to a powerful king or a suffering beggar. This is because neither happiness nor misery is taken with us across this border. We are always so close to a realm where we have escaped all our misery completely. But who has enough strength to survive there for long?